Patrick. Not Rakdos, not Jund. Orzhov?
I didn't even know that was a deck.
This is the first time finding out about that too. Some people are really brewing here, saying, I don't want to play Growth Spiral. I don't want to cast Teferi. I do not want to resolve Wondrous Reclamation. I would like to try to resolve Cruel Celebrant. Basic Plains very popular here in round number 1. You know I'm here for that. A Stomping Ground. Probably going to see a Growth Spiral here from Nam in just a moment. It is 4-color Reclamation on the other side of things. A Priest of Forgotten Gods. Do know that one pretty well, but this is not a matchup I would say where that card shines.
No, you want that much more for your mono greens of the world. Mirror matches or just things with, not that there's a whole lot of mirror floating around, but just other stuff defined by kind of chunky creatures. Not really what the Reclamation deck is up to.
Now, what good matchups does this deck have? Don't know. Is it as good as the other sacrifice decks that are out there that have been popularized, like Rakdos and Jund? Unclear. Power level of this deck appears to be a little bit lower, as you're seeing Haunted Witness, excuse me. And then a Priest of Forgotten Gods did get countered by Mystical Dispute. That's one of the things that makes Mystical Dispute so good, is that it is still a functional Magic card. Oh, I see. We have Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. And now, of course, that begs the question, do we have the combo with Veto, the split card? And it doesn't look like we do here in the main deck. So Veto is just a tool at Florian's disposal. Okay. Bone Crusher Giant is really powerful. Here is a Liliana Standard Bearer in response. We are breaking out all the core set 2021 hits today. Who knew?
It's a new world. I mean, we didn't really get a sense that this was the metagame based on the tournament yesterday, but here we are.
The way that we let off the show with Autumn's build of Team Regulation is in direct contrast with what is going on the screen right now. Liliana's Standard Barrier, let's see, that doesn't look like it's going to get onto the battlefield. That is, of course, the 3-mana, 3/1 flash. When it enters the battlefield, draw X cards where X is the number of creatures that died under your control this turn. Bone Crusher Giants on the battlefield. Here comes a Roast Rider, it looks like. So both players do have some 3-drops that could be joining the fray here momentarily. But I think the biggest thing right now that's difficult here for Florian is just the lack of lands to play multiple spells in a turn is really gumming up the works, it appears, Patrick.
Yeah, and the burden's on Florian here to do something pretty quickly, because if we just kind of play this out over a long timeline, the Reclamation deck is going to overpower him.
Shark Typhoon, Hardcast. That's what I'm talking about. Nam is not messing around. There's a Goblet Shrine on tap. Cruel Celebrant. Witness
and
Scorpion.
Just shaking out the bottom of the change jar, the loose change jar right there.
Oh boy, what is going on here? I have no idea. I don't know, a Hardcast Shark Typhoon on this battlefield, I can't say it looks particularly good. Bone Crusher Giant doesn't go anywhere. There's a Temple.
Oh, just passed. Probably flooding out.
Yeah, nothing to do over there? Yeah.
Nothing to do after a Hardcast Shark Typhoon. Nothing going on.
I think I gotta agree with you. Here's a Witch's Oven. Or is it going to be Veto?
I mean, I think Florian's spot's still good enough to be attacking here, even if it could be catastrophic. You cannot wait against the cards that are in Nam's deck, and certainly against just a Hardcast Shark Typhoon.
Oh, who saw that coming? A spell, Expansion Explosion. Who knew? Cruel Celebrant. There'll be a trigger. There's going to be lots of triggers here. Scry. Top card's going to stay on top. Call of the Death Dweller. Expansion. More importantly, Explosion will resolve. Goodbye, Ghost Rider. Trigger the Cruel Celebrant. There is Veto. Here is Witch's Oven. All right, what are we sacrificing? Well, let's start with the beatdowns with the Scorpion, I suppose. Oh, and the Witness. I mean, these are basically free.
Yeah.
How about this, Bozo, too?
No sentimentality about any of your attackers here.
Get these knuckleheads in there. Straightforward enough blocks. Now, of course, you do have Witch's Oven in this deck, and that leads me to believe that we're going to see some number of Cauldron Familiars. And there are 4, but you're not finding, Mayhem Devil nonsense that you would expect from these sacrifice decks. Could this deck be Mardu instead? Maybe yes, maybe no, but no Mayhem Devils, of course, because this is an Orzhov sacrifice deck. Has Florian Klein been waiting for this tournament, this moment to bust this bad boy out? Who knows?
And I like putting a premium on trying to hard cast a Star Typhoon in this kind of matchup because one random creature, sacrifice decks can either go wide or kind of ignore combat. But in the long term, beating just a Star Typhoon that's on the battlefield is really challenging for a deck that's playing with a bunch of underpower cards and not a whole lot of interaction for enchantments.
Yep. There is Teferi. Gonna bring a 3/3 Shark along with it. (21-7) life totals are concerned here, so it does make you wonder if Nam can raise. Cruel Celebrant's going to trigger. That means Veto trigger. Serrated Scorpion trigger. Wow. Down to 1. So that means that you have to get Cruel. I mean, you have to take care of the Celebrant, right? But I think we're just done.
Yeah, you're just done here.
Yeah. Okay, burned out. All right. All right, so we assembled the House of Cards. We did it. What is this thing? What are people doing this morning? Are we seriously not just going to have a Growth Spiral tournament? Because if that's the case, I'm really going to enjoy doing my job today.
Well, if people are really... so I think in the mirror matches, if you think that Reclamation is going to be the biggest thing, spot removal for creatures is just not really what those games are about. And the Teamer collection of colors doesn't afford you a whole lot of great cards for interacting with creatures anyway. And so what we're seeing right now, the initial sort of metagaming, the trying to angle shoot a little bit, is in this case with Orzhov Sacrifice trying to assemble a bunch of creatures with relevant text boxes that, under normal circumstances, your opponent would just be able to break up pretty easily. But if people aren't playing removal, then you get to set up your shop. And with Jim's deck, playing a deck that's so fast and so explosive that the absence of spot removal is really problematic there as well. Now we're looking, we have a metagame breakdown. The field is still largely Team of Reclamation. Make no mistake about it. But people are exploring, with some very early success here, different paths of interacting for that sort of matchup. The decks are getting extreme. The terms of engagement are getting extreme. But the Orzhov Sacrifice decks and Jim Davis's Mono White deck definitely let you play some extreme Magic.
Priest of Forgotten Gods, Witch's Oven, a classic start for a sacrifice strategy in this standard format. Here is Teferi. Well, kindly leave. Priest of Forgotten Gods. Oh, we're going to sacrifice it? I didn't think so. So Teferi is going to draw a card. Luminous Broodmoth. Here is a Fabled Passage. Going to get a white mana. No surprise there. Now there is another Priest. Same Priest as before. Teferi is going to work itself up to 2 loyalty counters. This is an Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath. Sacrifice that. Gain 3, draw a card, put an island on the battlefield. A powerful Magic card. There's Fabled Passage, that land. That passage does find one in the battlefield untapped. Here's a Noxious Grasp. I'm going to get rid of Teferi now. That'll work. Gain a life. A little Scorpion. Power level of this deck, much like Jim Davis's deck, I think is pretty low in comparison to the Reclamation decks and the Bant decks that are out there in the format. However, if you can get the job done, like you did in Game 1, who cares?
It's true. Who does care? Also, I think the Scorpion is a little bit slept on. You don't have to get a ton out of a 1-mana creature for it to be plausible for Constructed. And the combination of it kind of being decent on rate and then a really good thing for aggressive-leaning sacrifice decks. That's a lot. That card's a lot.
Kenrith is a lot. A lot of text on that card. Kenrith, of course, giving all creatures haste and trample when you pay a red. So in there for 5. Now, if you were with us for our SCG Tour Online Championship Qualifier number 3, you know that old Kenrith is a card that Tangrams, David Inglis, is a very, very big fan of. And he's a big fan of 4-color Reclamation in general. Here is a Teferi. Teferi is going to come down on this battlefield. This is another example, much like what we saw in Jim Davis's match, where flexing your muscles with the power level of your deck. Now, that doesn't mean this Orzhov Sacrifice deck can't overcome that. We saw that happen in game number 1. But now Nam is really starting to flex his muscles. Kenrith, Uro, Teferi. These cards are all absurd.
What was the card you posted yesterday as being the bane of your existence?
Oh, Elder Gargaroth or whatever.
Yeah, people talking about how it's impossible for aggressive strategies to beat that thing. I'm not saying it's easy, but have you played against Kenrith?
Oh yeah,
that's like way harder.
Oh, so people really took that tweet that I posted about Elder Gargaroth like just about as wrong as you can. So I posted that because that's given the kind of decks that I play, that's obviously the kind of card that I would lose to, right? Like someone just plays that and I just go, cool, I can't attack anymore and I can't win. But also yesterday I was playing in the championship qualifier and also playing in a Magic Online limited PTQ. And so at the same time I was playing in both matches, my constructed opponent played an Elder Gargaroth and then my limited opponent played an Elder Gargaroth.
It is very good
in limited. If you don't kill it on the turn, like the turn after they play it, you basically lose. And then in constructed, I actually ended up beating it because it's not that hard to beat. But I just, I foresee myself losing to that card a lot because someone's just going to cast it. I'm going to draw like another mopey Barkai troll and just go, all right, it's your turn, I guess.
Yeah, my favorite thing about the Elder Gargaroth is having had it multiple times in the green mirror and just losing easily each time.
Yeah, sure. I actually I know I got into like this weird conversation about design and everything. I think the card is a really good design.
It is, and I didn't work on that set, so I got no skin in the game. But that design is excellent for reasons we can go into or not.
I remember when Luminous Broodmoth got previewed, old Mothra there, and everyone was like, "This card is really good. Could be the future." And to be fair, I do think that card is powerful. I think it's not in the right format for it to shine, but there's going to ideally be a constructed format where that card is very good, I think.
Well, you've had the experience with mono green, right? Of I'm not really playing this deck or paying any attention to it, and then suddenly it's on my radar for metagame considerations, and then you're like, oh, it actually turns out there's like a really deep roster of plausible cards to play in a mono green aggro deck. I just hadn't considered any of them before. So, like, I forgot that Growth Chamber Guardian's a card. I forgot that the 2/2 Reach Flash and Fireball Pump Me every single turn is a card. That card's, like, really, really good, right? But you just don't even... It's not on your radar because the surrounding cards aren't there.
Yep.
And that's something nice about watching, like, Mono White Aggro or Orzhov. It's like, oh, there's all these cards out there that are actually not bad. They just require a certain deck to be built. And if the deck's not out there, then people don't play with the cards.
No, of course, and you have a thing that you are fond of saying, that metagames are ecosystems, and so they churn, and what you need for one metagame is different than another metagame. It is my hope that we see Luminous Broodmoth at some point in a different constructed format, because I do think the design is cool, and I think it's powerful, and I'm a big fan of the Godzilla card, so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, there's probably a deep roster of white cards that exist that most people don't even realize exist because we're not looking in that direction at all right now.
Right.
Call of the Death Dweller getting a little work done here, and Priest of Forgotten Gods in combination with Luminous Broodmoth means that those creatures that were sacrificed, they come right on back, and they've got flying counters on them. Don't forget counters that give flying nowadays in Magic, and trample and a whole bunch of other things. We've instituted the counter thing. Looks like you might be sacrificing a food here momentarily as well. Another copy of Call to the Death Dweller in hand as well.
I remember looking at the spoiler before the set came out, and I think Luminous Broodmoth was on my like top 5. This could potentially be dangerous, sort of designs. It hasn't broken that way yet, but again, that's because it requires a pretty particular build, not because the card's short on rate. It's really good, it's just a very specific puzzle.
Totally agree. Castle Vantress means that Nam is going to do a little scry at number 2. 2 on the top. Well, that's never good news. So we will see what these cards are here momentarily. Of course, we are time shifted here on the SCG Tour online, so we can see Florian's side of things. We can't see Nam's as far as what's in the hand. But it is always good to get at least one player's perspective in full. That's what we're seeing with Florian Klein in his innovative deck. Luminous Broodmoth looks like it's going to be bounced, and it will. So Teferi will momentarily take care of that. Kenrith's not going anywhere in there. Oh, Veto. Veto. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life.
Yeah, just go with food, or you can get into combat and use the activated ability as well.
All right, Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Going to do some sacrificing.
A lot of core set 2021 to be had here.
Dude, there's a ton. There is seriously a ton.
Orzhov theme deck.
Mortify? Creatures you control gain lifelink. Alright, so gain life with Kenrith. I mean, rarely do I have to read Magic cards nowadays, because I generally know what they all do. But, I mean, I'm taking the time right now and learning more, truthfully, as much as I can about Veto. Okay, so sacrifice the Scorpion.
I've drafted a lot of 2021, so
yeah.
I'm familiar with Veto and their work.
I mean, this is an opponent who has Kenrith on the battlefield that can gain 5 life like multiple times a turn, and I don't know if I presume that they can run down Veto, but I mean, it's the easiest thing to do is get Veto off the battlefield.
Yep, and again, these Reclamation decks are not great at killing stuff. They have some removal, some sweepers, but there is a little bit of blind spot on cheap creatures with activated abilities.
Which, if you think about it, does make some sense, because why would they have a lot of removal in a format that is based around Team of Reclamation and Bant? It is something that myself, as a Mono Green Aggro player, have tried to take advantage of. Well, there's a removal spell. They always got that one. Gonna sacrifice that Priest to Woe Strider. Now, that doesn't mean the cards aren't going to be drawn. They will be by the explosion, because it's 2 targets. Breeding Pool untapped. Gain 5 life, up to 15. Well, what a big draw there.
Mortify.
Hunt and witness the rolling off the top of the deck. Mortify looking to take care of Kenrith. It's funny, I forgot Mortify was legal.
Yep.
As we're going through the dollar bin at the local store, Mortify legal? It absolutely is. Looks like a lot of people in our chat early this morning, so shout out to you fine folks first and foremost. But second of all, a lot of people appear to be enjoying Florian Klein's deck. Honestly, we're at the stage of this format where people are just like, hey, I'll take any alternative to what the best decks are. Just show me something that's unique and good and cool. And you know what? With Jim Davis starting off on Mono White Aggro and now Florian Klein with this Orzhov Sacrifice deck, I think we may have checked that box twice.
Well, I think we're at a point now where even if it was something like mono red or mono black, like decks that were kind of floating around the fringes of the metagame, even that would be pretty appealing. But we're seeing like actually new stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, when old director Rob behind the scenes told us that we were watching Orzhov Sacrifice, I said, "Do you mean Rakdos or Jund?" And he's like, "No, Orzhov." And I was like, "Look, man, I look at deck lists for a living. I don't know what you're talking about." But we are
2021.
We are seeing Core Set 2021 have an impact. Mothra countered. Boo! I hate Mystic Dispute so much. Take a look at the old grave card. Oh, somebody's feeling frisky. Scorpion gonna sting ya. A cycle of Triumph here will nam. I mean, also, don't forget, like, Florian Klein is just gaining a ton of life along the way, so at 28? So it's not like we're in some sort of weird racing situation. Doesn't mean that the 4-color Reclamation deck can't deal 28. Obviously, Wilderness Reclamation in combination with Expansion Explosion can deal a boatload of damage, but I think we got a lot of time left in front of us here for at least the second game.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the process of winning the game, if Nam is able to do it, has to be kind of incidental. You have to completely overpower Klein from the spot because, as you mentioned, along the way, Klein's just picked up so much life, not really in a racing situation.
All right, Wostriner. Block, sack, get yourself another food token. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, that's a lot of mana. Oh boy. What on earth is this? Alright. Sacrifice Veto, get yourself a food. Card will still be drawn again because 2 targets, so the explosion's going to load up Namdang's hand. Ah, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I said we had a lot of game left. I may have been wrong. Wilderness Reclamation has resolved. Godless Shrine the draw. And fighting back! The Hunted Witness. Here comes Scorpion.
Yeah, this is kind of a replay of the first match we watched, right? Where it's like game 2, Reclamation's on the play. You just draw the cards that are in your deck, and you have no hope of winning.
Yeah.
But you get game 3. You get to be on the play for game 3. And they have no cards against you that are just lights out. Don't
forget about Liliana's Standard Bearer. Gonna draw a couple of cards there. Noxious Grasp. Get that Uro out of here. Thanks. Okay. We are battling. Corey Baumeister in the chat. He's saying this is awesome. No argument here, Corey. Shark Typhoon, maybe going to make things a little less awesome. That's a 10-10 Flying Shark. Corey Baumeister, of course, battling in this tournament. Top 8 at our championship qualifier number 4 yesterday. Corey was able to actually top 8 2 of our 4 championship qualifiers in Season 1 of the SCG Tour Online, so kudos to him, and perhaps he'll top 8 this seasonal championship as well. As we're working our way through round number 1. Again, we did see Jim Davis win earlier with Mono White Aggro. Now we're watching Florian Klein against Namdang. Going to be casting an Explosion for you Street Fighter EX fans. You might get that reference. Good game indeed. Let's play a third one, shall we? Look at this ragtag bunch of bozos in the sideboard.
Yep. These sure are some cards that are illegal. How's the chat going? What's going on in the chat?
Oh, just people hanging out, man. Gaining some viewership, and people are loving what's going on here with this Orzhov Sacrifice deck, and
I haven't loaded up Twitch yet because I was worried that it would cause the audio to break. So I'm gonna have to wait until.
You don't worry about that. I'll take care of that aspect of things. I don't want your whole setup to just go kablooey. Even though
I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a second.
Yeah. Here's Priest of Forgotten Gods once again. Fable Passage will search up a basic plains. Last Casket says, goodbye, Priest. Kindly leave. Call of the Death Dweller. There is a kitty cat and not a third land there for Florian. This is an Uro. Perhaps you've heard of it.
Yes, I have.
You heard that one?
Yeah. It's good on the 3rd turn, and then it's also good on subsequent turns.
I was playing Humans in Modern yesterday afternoon, and my opponent, they cast Uro and I conceded, is what happened, because I've just had enough.
You didn't Reflector Mage it?
Nah, and that's why
you fly over with Mantis Rider?
Nah. So actually, what happened? I think I messaged you this. No, this one you don't know about. So yesterday, playing this matchup. It's not the gut shot one. This is a different one. So I keep Humans has to keep some Sketchers with Ether Vial sometimes.
Yep.
So just turn 1 on the play. I go Vial. My opponent Force Negations it, and I'm like, whew, that is tough, right? And then my opponent plays some fetch land and passes, and then I draw a Noble Hierarch, play it, and they play Renin 6 and kill it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm long gone. I am not going to do this anymore. And I think that's how Florian is feeling right now, because Wilderness Reclamation and Explosion have just resolved. Meow with those cats, going to bring Nam down to 15. Trinome is going to be cycled. I don't think this game is going to have much longevity left to it, because Florian is stumbling and fumbling around. Here is a Teferi, and this is all about power level, folks. This is all about power level, and Nam's deck, if it can get itself going and do its thing like it is right now, Bro, all way too powerful for this Orzhov Sacrifice to deal with.
So some magic theory here is that when you're no longer gated by mana in any meaningful way, it's really powerful just to draw a bunch of cards. and we are watching Nam do that.
Well, yeah, but have you considered that Uro's dead?
It is currently in the graveyard.
That's
yes.
right. It is not alive anymore. Here is Shark Typhoon, and I don't know if you knew this, that card also draws a card. So, 7/7 on the battlefield. Cool, another Wilderness Reclamation. Now, this is what I was expecting to cover today. This is more like it. Shark is going to come in, take a bite out of crime. Apparently, yesterday there was a Scruff McGruff reference on coverage by Ryan Overturf. Respect that.
The crime dog?
Better believe it. Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652. Overturf's not the only one that has that commercial, and more importantly, the city and zip code of where Scruff McGruff does live. Good game indeed. Here is an explosion for far too much.
Don't emote if you don't mean it. We know you don't mean it.
Namdang is going to win game and match here over Florian Klein.